me because y'all know, like, I respect Jeezy. You know, I grew up in a trap listening to him. And one of the things that I always say is that music is so influential in our culture. I feel like we have been positioned in music to exploit women and exploit the murder and the downfall of black men and women in America. I feel like our people, our rappers and our artists, they have to tell a story of what they came from, which we have to respect. But then there's things inside of their raps that we miss. We catch them, but we miss them. And because we miss them, we don't grab onto them. And so this week, we got Big Snow up there, man. My guy, man. And he says something, man. He says, shell companies and LLCs remain nameless. Whew! My account on 24-hour call got it popping like a 24-hour mall. Sports agency 99, all player. Street ninja might sign a ball player. Woo-hoo-hoo! Here's why I like that. A while ago, I talked about having an anonymous LLC. And it's when you can put an LLC in an anonymous name so people don't know who owns it. And so one of the dope parts about shell companies, Jesus said shell companies and LLCs remain nameless. That's one of the things he's talking about. So one of the things that shell companies do is great investors will create shell companies. Shell companies allow you to buy assets, buy real estate, buy assets, not under you, but under the company name. But then he went a step further and said they remain nameless. Shell companies can open up a bank account. They can move funds at the same time. Shell companies can buy and sell real estate. Shell companies can even possess copyrights and receive royalties. Shell companies can have anonymous owners. And I remember when I said this, people were like, well, why would you want to be anonymous? Who you looking for? Who you running from? It's not about that, man. We live in a world where people have exposure to more than they need. You see people doors getting kicked in all the time. Look, the minute Jeezy, and I'm gonna show you how dangerous this was. I remember when Jeezy did the thing with Gucci and he said, I own half of Atlanta. Whether he's telling the truth or not, I don't really care. But here's what I do know. On Instagram, 10 minutes later, everybody had his name up and they had he owned one property, and it was the property that his grandmother owned. People were like, how you own half of Atlanta and you just got one company? Because I realized at that moment that people weren't financially literate. But it also showed me at that moment what people will do is look your name up, because they looked up his real name, because none of his assets are going to be under Young Jeezy, right? They looked up his real name to go see what he owned. That's how easy it is for people to have exposure to you. Now imagine if you could pull that man's name and that man's records and see every real estate that he owned, what type of evil people in this world will go do something crazy? So it's not about hiding from nobody. It's not about running from nobody. It's about understanding that people do weird stuff. The minute the man said, I own half Atlanta, they had 3 million people on that live with him and Gucci, man, and 40% of the people went look the man's name up to see what he owned because he made a statement. And now that is all over the internet showing what he owned. He said, man, the minute I saw that, I had to go change my grandmother's house out of her name. And so what if all of his properties would have been on there? So now we know everything that Jeezy owned. Once you start acquiring wealth and once you start acquiring real estate and once you start buying things, you understand that shell companies and LLCs, anonymous LLCs and trust, all of these things work in your favor. They're tools that the wealthy have been using for a long time. I just won't stop right there. I don't even want to really go into no more of it. Then he digged a little further and he talked about sports because he got a sports agency, another business that he owns. Right? And so we talked about, it's about acquiring assets, and you don't always got to have your name on it. You don't always got to do that. There's a thing that wealthy people say, man, own nothing, control everything. Which brings me to the mindset that we gotta have to acquire wealth. And I bring y'all to this last segment of the show. We have to divorce the story of doubt, lack, poverty, and limitation. We gotta divorce that. And we must marry the attitude of wealth, the mindset around money, and your ability to grow and obtain wealth is solely based on your creativity and your frequency toward it. The most important decision that you will ever make is how you perceive money and how you engineer your wealth. The true consequences behind building wealth is a lifetime of freedom. But you can never create that freedom if you never allow yourself to take the risk. Imagine how many people thought that Harriet Tubman was crazy. Because not only did she attain her freedom, but she left and came back to get more. She had a taste. And once you taste the freedom, you realize that everybody needs a sip. So I invite you to this question. How much is your freedom worth? How much is your mindset worth? What is the price to your freedom? But most importantly, at what price do you sell it? You sell it because you feel you're running out of time. You sell it because you feel that you're inadequate. You sell it because you feel that life has overwhelmed you. At what point do you sell it because you feel that you aren't enough? Experience has taught me something. Some of us will sell our dreams prematurely and live a life of regret. And in those moments, we will despise those who have accomplished the things that they are crazy enough to believe. And then there are those of us who crazy enough, just crazy and insane enough to go after it. There are those of us who are crazy enough to follow Harriet Tubman through the swamp, barefoot, being chased by dogs, snakes, bears, and crazy people looking to hang you. There are some of us that are crazy enough to believe that investing would change our lives. There are some of us that are crazy enough to believe that the stock market is a machine that prints money, and all we got to do is learn how to use the machine. There are some of us that are crazy enough to believe that if we sacrifice now, we'll get the reward a little later. There's some of us that are crazy enough to believe that generational wealth is a real thing and not just a buzzword. There's some of us that are crazy enough to believe that we deserve wealth. There's some of us that are crazy enough to believe that freedom is our birthright. there's some of us that are crazy enough to believe that when we're dead and gone, there's a whole generation that will benefit from our sacrifice. Generational wealth is more than just about money. It's about renovating, restructuring, and rebuilding a specific mindset. It's about doing away with the things that we were taught that held us captive. We were held captive by 401ks and mutual funds because they told us this was our best chance to retire free. But yet only 10% of mutual funds beat the market. And after that 10% of mutual funds that meet the market, by the time they finish taxing us and paying us fees, we, the investors, suffer. There's only about 16% of 401ks that actually help people make money. But after retirement, you still have to get another job. So was that really freedom? You ask yourself, did they really teach us freedom? I've never seen a slave master give freedom to a slave. There was always some type of catch behind it. Yep, you're free, but where do you live? Where do you work? All you know how to do is farm. We're not giving you 40 acres. And so you enter this servitude, this credit, where I work for you and you pay me. You pay me based on what the plantation produces. But here's the catch. I gotta pay you for food. I gotta pay you for clothes. I gotta pay you inflated prices for staying on your farm, on your plantation. And so I can never truly gain my freedom. And so when you work that job and you think that 401k is the best investment you can make, you think investing in those mutual funds is the best investment you can make. And I know people won't agree with me, but I can promise you this. The minute you learn how to invest for yourself, you will beat every 401k and you will beat every mutual fund because the knowledge is the most essential investment to your freedom. It's your boy, the Wall Street Trapper. I appreciate y'all for tapping into episode 24 of Trappin' Tuesdays. Do me a favor, man. Go download every episode on Spotify, Apple, Google Play, and all other streaming platforms. Also, go to this network. Before you leave the network, I want you to go like and subscribe to all the other channels and share this out. You want to be a part of Trappers Anonymous, the link is in the bottom. It's your boy, Wall Street Trapper. I will see you all next week, episode 25. Salute.